But I just wanted to say, just for a second, that everyone at this table and the cast members, our leads who are not here, unfortunately, everyone on this show is so heroic. You have no idea. The fact that everyone, for lack of a better word, dived in to their roles and did not hesitate ever in the 5 seasons. There wasn't one person that hesitated. So naturally, bringing other people into it, first of all, everyone became, well, what people are seeing here now is genuine. I think everyone,
I really feel like part of this family, and I've never done the show.
The best part of the show
I feel the love that you all feel.
But it came from these guys. It came
it always
from
comes
these
from the
guys.
top.
It always comes from the top.
We told them, you never are going to have to do something that you don't want to do. If you say, I can't do that, I don't want to do that, I don't feel comfortable doing that, then you're not going to have to do it. And oftentimes, heroically, they would do more than was asked.
But these people were not intimidated. These people were not intimidated. But I think to answer your question, people did come on the show.
Guest stars.
Guest stars. They and required to do things that ordinary actors would not be required to do. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that you're saying right. I'm saying correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, and I think that there was a little bit of intimidation. You have somebody come on and they have to disrobe.
It made it very easy because you're taking care of them.
Right.
Your first order of business with anyone you have a sex scene with is making them comfortable because you know the crew and you know the cast and you know the writers and you've done it before.
When I had my affair with that lovely Canadian actress and she was so nervous, and so we actually went inside my dressing room and we had a little champagne together because I thought, if she's nervous, we're never going to get through this, and I'm not nervous because I know.
We also had a rule on the set. Respecting the actor's privacy as best we could, that no one was to be there who didn't have to be there.
Essential.
I know it.
Dan
I hated
and
that. I said, but that's my son. They said, go to your room, Sharon.
Oh my God, I totally thought the opposite. Like you wanted everybody to see
watch
your
her.
show. That's how I thought you said that.
No, I
was like, she got a Brazilian with Thea, and it was a close set.
Now it's like,
So,
who's that woman spritzing me with water?
glisten, Hal, glisten.
I'll tell you
Oh my
how
God.
thoughtful they were. Everyone who had sex scenes was always brought into, I guess it was Sheila's office. You were always there. It was a sex meeting. It's with the cinematographer and the director and the producers. Well, I got to kiss Peter McNeil.
Yeah.
Before our kiss scene, we were brought in, sat there with the producers, the director, and the cinematographer. I always remember this. And the two of us are sitting on the couch being like, we're 5 years old. I said, would you like to discuss, this is going to be the first heterosexual kiss on the show. Would you like to discuss it with Peter? This guy. And he said, would you like to do the kiss for us? I remember this. Trying to give us the opportunity if we were uncomfortable.
It was very important, I think, to all of you to know where the camera was. I think that was number one.
It was
because
always,
you didn't want it...
Under my ball sack?
But I mean, what I'm saying is, if you know how considerate they were of just a kiss, imagine how considerate they were.
Well, this had never been done before, so I remember the reason.
The heterosexual kiss?
No, the heterosexual kiss.
Oh, I was like, I've seen plenty.
No, having this kind of show with this kind of sex, almost every episode had never been done before. And I remember the reason, and actually Sheila Hawken, our wonderful producer in Toronto, and I thought of this because we were on the set at 2 o'clock in the morning in a hospital scene in the first season where Brian was coming out of his coma, and we had, Ted was coming out of his coma, and Brian was there, and he had sex with the nurse, and we had to get out of that set location in 45 minutes, and we were running out of time, and as I recall, the guy we had hired to be the nurse that Brian was having sex with said, well, I was never told what I had to do, I'm not doing this, and then Gail Harold had this wardrobe on that was like, it looked like a big diaper, he pulled his pants down, and I said, oh my God, this is a disaster, so what we did was, we said we have to, every time we have a sex scene, we have to go over with the ADs, the director, what wardrobe, what we're saying, what we feel comfortable with, and it really worked out. I'm glad
it did help you know.
Hold on, Robert has a sex meeting story.
Sorry,
This sounds like my private life, by the way. I have to call him in advance and go, can we schedule Tuesday? Tell your mom she can't come. It's like the same thing, sort of.
Now we're getting down to the good part.
Do you see how I leaned in?
First of all,
I want to hear it. This is the dish.
from the first of all, from the first time that I met Hal, I remember there was such caution about you're going to have to meet Hal first and make sure. No. But I remember he was in the middle of shooting something and he walked in and he just kept looking at me and just like is this guy going to be okay to work with?
Because I was gun shy after season 1.
Yeah, but anyway, so so then the exactly.
Hal dancing around.
Walking around.
I love that.
But I remember one particular sex scene. The first time we were going to actually have intercourse, and Michael and Ben were going to have intercourse, and we talked about it. We're like, well, we should probably be, missionary style. It's really they love each other and it's that kind of thing. And I said, I just kept talking as if I totally got. And he sort of had this look on his face like he didn't. Sort of know what the hell I was talking about. And I'm like, well, did you not do this before? And apparently, I guess the only way they had sex before was, from behind. Right. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, this is so important. And so I said, so we'll put, you put both your legs up, and his eyes were like this. He was like a deer in the headlights, just like terrified as I was describing what we might do.
Right.
And so we because Hal's pretty, macho guy, and it was scary. But what we ended up doing, the compromise, because I get he was just a little terrified, and this is somebody who jumps into things because it was brand new, was one leg. So we put.
Because he's a butch bottom.
We put one leg up. It just made it. And that was but I will never forget the look on his face. Which was like,
I want you to be very sure. I am sure.
Well, I can tell you the number of people I heard from after the pilot. Friends of mine, like heterosexual friends of mine, who came to me and said, like, I had no idea that gays could have sex face to face.
Yeah, I didn't.
I had no idea.
About it that way.
Are you serious?
Really?
I had no idea.
Because here's the thing. All I can.
I have no idea. I don't like it, but we can do it.
right. Straight people said that.
What I learned on this show, I can't tell you.
See, I always said just from a logistical standpoint that your junk would get in the way and in the worst possible kind of situation.
That's what you're praying for and paying for at times.
Are you serious? Did our show really change the face of how people
Here's
see
how I discovered the show. I didn't hear a thing about the show, and my mother called me the night after it premiered, and she said, oh my God, have you heard about that show, Queer as Folk? And I said, oh yeah, I've heard of it. And she goes, don't watch it. It is vile. All they do is have sex, drugs, and there's back rooms and alleys. And I said, oh my God, I'm gonna love it. And I started tuning in. That's a true story.
Insofar as like working with difficult situations when you had those, because like doing a sex scene is like simulating sex with a cousin on the Thanksgiving dinner table in front of your entire family. It's just this awkward, weird.
It's fairly
like you're trying to explain something. You know what I mean?
First
It's
of all,
like,
how do you know
Was it fun?
that it's awkward,
I
Hal?
am from Kentucky, and let's just leave it at that.
Thanksgiving at the Sparks.
And let me just say simulated for the record. But
Great source material.
yeah. And in truth, I get asked a lot whether it's easier to work with a straight guy or a gay man, especially as one of the straight guys on the show. And it was way easier to work with Robert.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah, because
I'm never going to live that down.
because he had respect for my boundaries and I had respect for his. And there are some, I guess, going that way because it would be like, and this is not me tooting my own horn, this is just as a dude. If I was making out with a girl in a scene or whatever, and the minute they said cut, she just went, I'd be a little bit like, hey, what's wrong with me? You know? Right. And I never even considered that. The first few times we had to do those scenes or whatever, I was just like, well, okay, what are we turning around? You know, and there is an element of sensitivity there. Whereas when I worked with one of the
etiquette,
yes, right, and one of these straight members, former cast member, but straight. Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, we all know who you're talking about.
I originally thought I would have, the most difficulty doing the sex scenes, and I was, I just had, as a guy, you're just like, how am I going to manage this? How's this going to look right more than anything? Right. And then, because he was having such a hard time with it, it actually made my game a little better because I had to go, okay, this isn't going to happen the way we're supposed to have it. So where does the scene lie? And it's got to stay in my eyes. It's got to be, and
You have
then
to take
that
control of it.
yeah, and that